Hello YouTube. Today I'm working on my 2018 F150 STX 4x4 with the max tow package, and a lot of guys have used the Paramount grille to get the Raptor-esque look on their non-Raptor truck, and I actually happen to really like this STX grille that the truck came with, so I don't really want to change that, but I still want the Raptor LED lights. So what I'm going to do is mount LED lights inside of the honeycomb on the grille here, and that will give me that look. And I'm going to do a couple other things that'll make it kind of hidden. That way when the truck is off you can't see the lights at all, but then when you fire the truck up it turns the lights on. They're going to be powered by a key hot circuit using an ATA circuit fuse tab. That will allow me to have them turned on anytime the truck is on, and they will be turned off anytime the truck is off. So the parts list, we've got our ATR ATA circuit here. This plugs into a normal fuse slot on the truck, and then you've got a fuse holder right here for the existing fuse and for the circuit that we're going to be adding these LED lights to. I got these LED lights in a 10-pack on Amazon. It was like $5 or something like that, may have been $10. And then grab some extra fuses, some ring terminals because I was running out in my stupid kit over here, heat shrink stuff, solder. I believe in soldering all electrical connections when possible because you get a much better connection there. Some of the best wire strippers in the world. I actually saw a bigger set of these that I kind of want to get at the parts store, but these work great for now. And then more connectors, wire, voltmeter, and that should be all we need. I've got 4 of these out. I'm going to actually make 4 of them in case one burns out, then I can do a fairly quick swap out. And then I'm going to use this as material to hold the lights. So I'm going to drill a hole, and then that will hold the lights behind the STX grille. Now, according to some measurements I found online, the factory Raptor lights are spaced about 9.5 inches from the center of the grille. Now the Raptor lights are actually up in this silver, or what is up the silver part on here, and for my applications I'm actually going to do it inside of the honeycomb, and the honeycomb actually happens to be perfectly lined out to where from the center of the center honeycomb hole right here, it's 9 inches to the center of another honeycomb hole that actually doesn't have a slit or slat in it. So I'm just going to use the one that's 9 inches from center, and that will get me close enough. I think it's going to look a lot better than some of the other options out there. I've seen a kit where it has a bracket that goes behind the grille and has 3 lights on it, but they're only, I think, 5 or 7 inches apart, and so it doesn't have that genuine OEM look, and I'm all about having things clean and looking OEM but maybe slightly different, and this will, I think, achieve that. To make these disappear, I'm going to use some VHT nightshade. I've heard of this stuff going green over time, but I'm not too terribly worried about it because it's going to be hidden inside the front of the truck. It just needs to be a hair darker. I'm not going to go crazy dark on this. I just want to take away some of the orange vibrancy that it has. Now I'm going to start working on removing the grille. I'm not really going to do a walkthrough on that. There are other walkthroughs on YouTube on how to remove the grille on this. And in fact, while I'm doing this, I'm going to be watching a walkthrough because I've never pulled the grille off of this thing before. Alright, front end is off. I got to take the louvers off of the grille itself, and then we can start adding the lights and figuring out the wiring. Alright, this thing looks to be held on by about 4 bolts, so it should be fairly easy to remove. I might also have to remove some clips down here, we'll see. Now that we've got the shutters off, make sure this is right side up, which yep, it is. For me anyways. I'm going to put I'm going to mount the lights in this hole, and this hole. So I'm going to spray the water off of here first to make sure that the silicone can adhere properly, or the glue, whatever adhesive I decide to use. Haven't decided on that yet. And then cut apart the plastic and mount that behind here before I drill the holes. That way it's perfectly centered, and this looks like it's going to be pretty ideal for mounting this because of what it looks like behind here versus what I was expecting it to look like. Alright, so here's what I've come up with so far. It's just a piece of plastic that has been cut out and trimmed down a bunch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drill some holes in it and put screws through it. And I'm going to use JB Quick inside of in the back of the piece here. You can see so it's going to sit right like that-ish. And I'm going to fill these 3 cups with JB Quick, and that will hold around the screws, which should do just fine to hold this whole operation in place. So I'm going to keep trimming on this. Alright, so there we have it. We've got these 3 pieces with the screws mounted in them, and the screws will go down into the holes. I'll show you here in a second. This one here, I made it with only 3 screws instead of 4, and that actually is going to work out for the benefit because the top one on the center doesn't have anything to put JB weld around. So I'm going to have to come up with, probably use some JB stick or something like that on the top just to make sure that that's extra secure, but the rest of these JB welds should work just dandy on. Oh hey, the truck moved. Yeah, I had to go to the store because I realized I was out of JB weld. I'm going to use JB Quick on this because it dries in 6 minutes, cures in 4 to 6 hours. For some reason I thought I had a 1 hour cure time, but that's okay because I don't have to drive for, what time is it? 1 o'clock, almost 2 o'clock, so yeah, I don't have to drive for another few hours, so it'll be fine. So I'm going to now clean out the holes that I'm going to be filling up with JB Weld and fill them one by one. I'm only going to make enough of the JB Weld to fill up one set of holes because I don't want to have it harden on me and then waste a bunch and have to make more. Now that I've got the holes cleaned, I'm going to scuff or score the holes horizontally. That way when I fill the holes with JB Weld, it has something to grip in there. I'm just going to use my knife and kind of drag it along a few times on all sides. That way it's got something to grip on the inside of the hole, and then it will very well grab the outside of the screws, which all that combination should keep these in there up to 100 and some odd miles an hour, which I have no plans on doing 100 some odd in a truck. That's why I have a sports car. And only go fast on the track. It's not safe on the roads. Also, remember kids, always cut towards your buddy, not your body. Just kidding, don't stab anybody. Alright, time to start mixing some JB Weld. Alright, so that looks like that's going to do what I want it to do. I am going to go ahead and get the other two holes completed now. I'm not going to record that because you've seen me do one, and there's no point in wasting the video time to do the other two because they're going to be the same. So just so everybody knows, in here are little plastic tabs. Look like that-ish. That looks like an incredibly annoying design that I'm not looking forward to reassembling. So there's that for the good of the order. I'm going to try to fish the rest of these out while the JB Weld is curing. I forgot to take out the centerpiece on the center louver. Some of the louvers have got holes, or rather some of the honeycomb has holes, and some of them have a centerpiece inside of that hole. It's every other one in kind of this cool grid pattern. Looks really good, but that one is going to be in my way for purposes of mounting these lights. So I'm going to take my Dremel now and start working on getting that out. The JB Weld has cured enough that I can start working with this again, and I'm going to wait for it to cure a little bit more before I start drilling the holes for the lights into the plastic pieces that I just installed with the screws and the JB Weld. Now I've got the centerpiece cut out of this hole. When I cut the bow ties out, I cut them larger than the outside diameter of the actual hole. So I'm going to flip this over now and start trimming on the bow ties, being careful not to damage the grill itself, but to get the material back behind. That way it's completely invisible from the front. Next, I'm going to mark the center, drill the holes, and I'm going to start with pilot holes in the middle of the black plastic pieces that I just installed, and then I'm going to use a step bit to gradually make the holes bigger until this rubber ring that the lights slide inside of fits snugly into the hole, and then I can start putting the lights in. Pardon me while I continue to stuff my face. Now I'm going to start in on the wiring, and in order to do that, I'm going to run the wires up above the, so this is upside down right now. I'm going to run the wires up and kind of along here to keep it up and out of the way of the shutters. Once I get the wires run out, it's going to be a separate wire that goes from right about here, let's see here, right about here, all the way back to the fuse box, which is where I will put the fuse tap in to make this a key hot system. Like I said earlier, that way every single time the truck is on, the lights come on. Turn the truck off, these lights turn off. They are always on when the truck is running. Also, to check the polarity, I'm going to take this fourth one that I had out already and touch this to the battery, make sure that I know which one's positive. I think the black is positive, which is counterintuitive, but I'm not 100% sure. Black is indeed positive. I don't know if that was in frame or not, but actually looks really good. I'm quite impressed with these. I did a test fit a few weeks ago when I got these lights in. I did a test fit, wired everything up with alligator clips, put it in the grill to make sure that this is what I wanted to do before I started hacking my brand new grill apart. And yeah, I was pretty impressed with how these looked. And again, black is positive on this, which is weird. I don't know why. Thanks, China. All right, got this all done. Oh wait, thanks China for using a non-standard coloring scheme and using black as your positive and white for your negative, because now that caused me to solder these together backwards. So now I get to snip and re-weld, or re-solder. Wow. I've been researching welders a lot lately, so that's why I keep screwing this up, because I should be getting one soon. All right, there we go. There's 3 orange dots in there, and now it's time to start reassembling this thing and then get the other ends wired up. Now to see if I can remember how to put all this back together. Engineers, if you could please stop overthinking things. You could have just had a hole in there with a threaded metal clip like on every other vehicle, but you had to do this special plastic stuff. Alright YouTube, check this out. See that brass screw right there? That has a plastic sleeve on it that has to go in the slot right below the plastic sleeve. However, there is not enough slop in the screw hole to slide the screw in and out and get it around, and there's too much slop in the slot the plastic sleeve goes into, which is right. I'm going to set you down for just a second. This goes in here like this, but there's so much slop in there that if I were to let go of it, then it falls down into the abyss. And that is what I'm trying to figure out. I will let you know if I find a solution to this. Thanks, engineers. So there's those 2 little nubs on there. Kind of see them if I can get it in focus. There we go. There's 2 little nubs that barely grip it. I do not think that this is going to work, but I'm going to give it a shot. Alright, I figured it out, YouTube. Stupid design still, but you have to use channel locks to remove the little stud with to hold the stud still so you can remove the bolt, and then you insert the stud into those stupid little clips, and then the shutters go on and you bolt it on from there. A very excruciatingly annoying design. I'm hoping to never have to do this little shimmy with the bolts and the nuts and the screws and whatnot by adding a bunch of red Loctite to these. That way next time I undo the bolts just come right off instead of taking the studs out with it and causing me an hour's worth of headaches. Alright, there's how it looks turned off, all mounted up. You can just barely see them behind the grill because of the nightshade. It's perfect. Now it's time to finish up the wiring to the fuse box. I'm hoping that there's a section of fuses in here that is a key hot. Otherwise I'm going to have to cut the wire from here and then run it through the firewall, hopefully through an existing boot, which it looks like there's a couple down here that I can run through, and tap into a fuse on the fuse terminal on the inside that is a key hot, because I know there's some in there. So I'm gonna see if I can test a few out here and see if there's one that's dead currently, and then I'm going to turn the ignition on, see if the one comes back to life, and if that all works, then I will know which one I can tap into for our lights. Okay, now I've got my key hot, so I'm going to I've got a 15 amp fuse in here right now. I'm going to replace that one with the 10 amp fuse that I pulled out of that slot. So it'll be a 10 amp and a 10 amp, which 10 is way overkill for those front lights, but that's fine. And I'm going to pull a appropriate length of wire here. The connectors that I use on almost every electrical project that I do, when I decide to use connectors instead of soldering for convenience purposes, they're called Anderson power poles. They're genderless connectors that go together very easily, especially when you've got the fancy little crimpy tool here. Very fast to assemble. And it's a good solid connection. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I just happen to like their products. I have spent lots of money on these over the years because they really are that good. They're not a waterproof connection, which is a slight downside, so I actually might put some dielectric grease in here just to cut down on water intrusion. But that is one connector made, and you saw how long that took. So eventually I'm going to put a wire loom on this to help protect it, but I can't find it right now, so I'm just going to wire this up because I put that Anderson power pole connection on there. That will make it easy to unhook and get the wire loom installed at a later date. Alright, for now, in essence of time, I am actually going to leave this not quite as clean as I would like it. I'm going to have to come back in here and clean it up another day, but I need to go. So, I'm going to hook up this butt connector here. The lights should have power. And I'm going to coil this repair up in here and just kind of place the lid on. Eventually I'm going to properly seal everything up and make it so the wire's not being pinched, but for now this will get me on the road. Alright, so back to this, now that I've got my battery replaced in the camera. Okay, that's all set, that's set. Get the tools out of here. And let's see if I did a thing. Alright, so we've got the lights installed now. They're all wired up. I'm going to see if they turn on. Look at that. On my Instagram. I think now I'm going to hop into Forescan and turn off the DRLs that are actually the headlights, make it just so the amber lights are the daytime running lights. That looks really, really good. Quite pleased with how that turned out. Alright, so that's that. I'm going to get this thing backed out the garage so that my wife and I can go to dinner with friends. Thanks for watching. If you like what I'm putting out, please subscribe, comment up if you've got anything that you want to see, or if you have any questions, I'll try to address those in future videos. And as always, thanks for watching.